I took a very neutral stance last year. As a matter of fact, I think the court in general, with the first two, took a very neutral stance. Because it is another taxing entity, and if they present it to us and we find that there's no problems with it, then I don't know if we're obligated, but we put it on the ballot. This round, I'm a little more passionate about it because I'm a whole lot closer. And what do you do? I mean, you get snake bit and Atkins won't come and Stockdale's not there. We've got a real problem and you've got a real problem. And it's not just you, it's all the citizens that are in the area. And it encompasses a fair portion of Precinct 4, part of Precinct 3, and a little bit of Precinct 2. But from my standpoint, I can't disagree with the thing you said. When you look at the national statistics, they scare me to death. And I don't want to revisit those, but they scare me to death. And I don't, I pay taxes. I don't want to pay more tax. But sometimes you have to do something. The people take, the volunteerism has been taken largely for granted. And that's not an indictment of you or me or anyone else, because they've always been there. Times have changed, and they continue to change. And I was at a meeting last week with the National Forest Service, and they were talking about how difficult it is for them now when they have a major fire, because the number of volunteers that used to be there to provide them assistance on a statewide level are no longer there. It's not like what it used to be, and if we don't do something, then Stockdale will be the first one to fall. It almost fell last year, and then there will be another one, and there will be another one,
and one of the reasons for that is the rural makeup of the Stockdale area, where you have your in the Eagle Creek, you get more concentrated here in Floresville. Yeah. They make a call, they're probably out 30 minutes to an hour. When they make one from Stockdale, they have to go to either Floresville or to Seguin, and they're tied up longer. With the Eagle Creek shell activity that's going on south of us here, our traffic is probably tenfold what it was at least. The accident rate's way up, the fatality rate's way up in all the counties that has Eagle Creek shell. We have, I guess if we couldn't recruit them to come here, I know Tom Bosanko had told me that it's very important that we have this EMS. It saved his life. He attributes that to saving his life, the fact that they was there. And it's like Commissioner Wiley said, we fought and battled and everything to try to keep them in this last time, and some of the oil companies gave some money to help and keep it afloat. And as far as the tax rate of the county, I've been very proud of the tax rate that we've had over the years when you compare it to the counties our size and the area that's around. Now, I was in Karnes City last week. They went from in the 70s or 70.80, and now they're going to be in the 20.20 with all the production that they've got there. They're setting their tax rate at the rollback rate, which is less than the
effective rate.
Effective rate. And so, hopefully in the next years, some of that will have some effect on our county. But the shortfall is coming from our roads are deteriorating, not only the county roads, but the state, federal roads are deteriorating very quickly because of all the activity. And of course, when you have the influx of people like this, your court systems end up with more people, your law enforcement's more stretched for everything. And it's, like I said, hopefully next year, some of that Karnes City is enjoying this year will have an effect on ours. But we worked very hard over the years. When I first came into office in '99, I think our tax rate was about 4.7. We got it down to just about 40. And the appraisal district went up on some properties, down on some, and then they protested, and they rolled them all back to the lowest, so we had to go back to 0.46 to get back to where we were at. I mean, you know, but you know, it's I don't know how we're going to maintain the EMS. The county's part to the EMS unit is what's 5,000 to.
No, it's 25,000.
25 to Stockdale and.
It's something 25,000 for EMS and 20?
It's on the county-wide, it's 25 to Stockdale. We do 30 to Wilson County because they take care of Polk as well. Seems like we do 20,000 to Eagle Creek and Livernia, and we do something less to President's Park, but I can't remember what that is. Kitecaster, sorry. I can't remember what that is. Or where it is.
It's you know, it's a whole lot like, we always have people pushing us to do the unit road system. And the unit road system, and when we go to the judges, commissioner conference, sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't, and you listen to them. And what it comes down to is the personnel that's available to run that person. And the same with these ESD. If you get the right people in there to run it, that will actually look out for the taxpayer, make the collections, you know, and so forth, so on, be timely about getting it out and all, it can make a difference. You know, it's like each person here has, each one of the commissioners has roads to take care of, and many other things that occupy their time and everything. So the only time we really devote any time to the EMS or the fire department is when we have problems, whenever there's people here, you know, where a board itself could be devoting full time to the operations of it, you know. And
Judge, can I answer?
Well, y'all do a wonderful job, and y'all done, you know, your tax rate, but I'm telling you, this is not a good deal for the taxpayer of Wilson County, and that's just.
well, what do you want to do?
Well, I think there's other things that the commissioners could look at the entire county. And I think you can come up with a lower rate and more efficiency.
It would be more efficient in the entire county. I agree with you 100%.
But it probably would be a lower rate.
And like I said, we've just gone through an election 15 months ago.
They petitioned us 15 months ago, and they petitioned us again for the election. They got the signatures from the people.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an election. There's got to be.
But we can't.
The commissioners can't initiate it, it has to
Well,
be, it has to be brought up on a petition from the citizens.
Right, but I mean, there's going to be an election, it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, I'm understanding, but I'm talking about countywide.
But I'm just telling you, it's not a very good deal for taxpayers.
Well, that may or may not be true. Again, I'm not going to restate what I said. My concern is
It
what
could be
happens.
much more efficient in another manner, presented in another manner.
And that's possible too. Now, in my opinion, an ESD is going to be more, don't take this personal, David, is going to be more efficient than the volunteer system, because the volunteer system, you're operating from an accounting standpoint, you have volunteers who are off doing other things, and they're doing the accounting. When you get an ESD established, they don't just say, okay, here, we're taking in money, take the money and go. There's an accounting, there's an accountability as to where that money went and what it is that you do with it. So you go from a situation where you have a volunteer system that is operating on income from taking folks that have insurance and folks that are on Medicare or whatever that is back. And of course, there's a number of people they carry that don't have any kind of insurance, so they've got that little bit of income. They have $25,000 that the county throws their way, which is nothing compared to the overall need, you know, and pancake breakfast and bake sales, and you can't operate that way. I will not argue that there isn't a more efficient way, because there probably is. I don't know what it is. And from my standpoint, therein lies the problem. I don't know what it is, but from a standpoint of efficiency, what they have done for Livonia Fire Department, the efficiency over there, and what they've been able to do for them as far as not just toys, you know, because usually what happens, it's been my limited observation, one of these is passed, and the first thing is, we want a big shiny something. Well, it don't work that way, because you got to go through and you got to evaluate what the really needs are and what you can afford, and set up essentially an action plan, if not a strategic plan, as to how we get there. That's, you know, that's where we should be headed with Stockdale EMS. All I know is I don't want to be without it. It's one of those things that you don't think about it till you need it, and when you think about it, you think about it, and when you need it, you think about it a whole lot. And I don't want to put the citizens in our area in that position.
Russell, maybe could you explain to them how they came up with the 10%? What do you know?
It's in the state constitution that 10 cents on a $100 valuation is
10
the
cents.
Yeah, 10 cents on a $100 valuation is the most that the special district can charge.
But that doesn't mean that's what it's going to be set at.
Yeah, that's what that's misinterpreting the word, buddy.
If this is passed, a board, the commissioners would get together and put a board together, and that board would do a needs assessment of this within this proposed ESD. And then based off that needs assessment, would therefore set the tax rate. Mike, I mean, am I pretty much?
Yeah,
The law actually prescribes how that happens. But it could go,
It could be 3 cents, or it could be 7 cents, or, you know, it's just based off of the needs of that, of the area. The gentleman here
The
is.
board will not be.
You're having less evaluation in our precinct than what you have in.
Right.
So you're gonna need to have it higher in order to raise the
the problem that hurts most of y'all area, like where you are, and like most of my area, it's rural.
Yeah.
If you got somebody with 100 to 1,000 acres, you know, where they are, they got hundreds of homes every 10 acres, you know?
You're right about that. Now,
To raise the revenue.
we're talking about fire department versus EMS. And EMS, many people had insurance coverage and things, and they should be a great deal of collection comes from, you know, where the fire department, most of it is not collected.
Correct.
And so,
It's a part of the difference.
Anything else?
Well, I just want to clarify. When I said it is affordable, and you said writing about me, I think what I meant to say was that each voter, everyone that's going to vote on this thing has to ask that question, can I afford this? Yeah, I'd love to have it. Don't misunderstand what I'm doing. I think it's a great thing to have medical services, and people can, you know, if you break your leg, it might be kind of handy to have somebody come out and take care of you, or something worse. However, I'm looking at strictly from the standpoint of what's happening in our nation, and in our state's not doing too well, but our nation's falling apart. And we're going to be in deep trouble. No one in Wilson County is responsible for
Yeah, I think you.
Believe me.
I think the parallel you're drawing though is, you know, a great difference. I think, you know, I mean, I could talk the rest of the night as far as our nation is what the people that can work and won't work and so forth, so on, and just the working people's carrying the load, so forth, so on. But this is a need that we need to address, and like David said, he thinks it's a more efficient way, and I'm sure they are, but it's hard to get it in government to, the first thing, I've said it about 4 times, I'm gonna say it one more time. There should be a countywide ESD, and it could be operated more efficiently because of the strategic area where you could put people and cover the county and be on there as quickly as possible. There's no doubt about that. But it's just the way it's come out. And you know, after working for DPS for 27 years, and I go to work in an accident out there, and I got people with broken arms and legs and head and whatever. I'm glad to see that EMS roll up there and be there to take those people to wherever they need to go and get them. So, you know, like I said, if you never need them, it's kind of like insurance. You're paying it for nothing. But if you do need them, it's worth everything you paid. It's worth everything that you put out there if you ever need it. You know, so you know, to answer your question again, it's a lot of ifs. You know.
Yeah, well, last time you and I had this discussion, just one step forward, and I asked the question, why isn't it all combined with Wilson County Memorial? I mean, why are these things all separate? Why isn't the tax?
That's another area that we have begged the hospital to look at it, you know, but it's not financially. The hospital doesn't see it as financially feasible for them. It's the most efficient way. I agree with you. It's the most efficient way if the EMS was worked out of the hospital, for the people that's there.
We tried to get that done, sorry, Judge, interruption. We tried to get that done last year. I met with the administrator of Guadalupe Regional and approached them about doing something along that line, and they were willing to be in conversation, but they are a county, city-owned entity, and their attorney advised them in the end that they couldn't do it. Met with Mr. Hiddle, who is the chairman of the company that's operating Conley, and they have the right to make it a part of their operations should they choose, but they are not required to make it a part of their operation. And that's what we tried to do. We tried to get them to take the responsibility for Stockdale EMS. And they were not willing to do it. This is not something that's just, we haven't, you know, from my standpoint as commissioner of the area where most of this falls, not all of it, but most of it, I have looked at every avenue that I'm aware to look at, and I've gone to people asking for money that, you know, I thought whenever I got out of business I wouldn't be selling, but I was selling that program. It's kind of a life or death issue, because if this thing isn't passed, I'm not saying we won't have an ambulance service, but I'm saying we're not going to have one in Stockdale.
But to further what he's saying, we met with Miller there that had an ambulance service. They tried to put a package together that wouldn't work.
We couldn't afford it.
Couldn't afford it. You know, I mean, we've looked at every angle that we can look at to answer.
I thank y'all for y'all's consideration. Thank you for listening to us. Y'all haven't convinced me to vote for it.
Well, and that's fine, but if it is passed, and you're wanting to have a voice in it, you know, when ESD number 2 was passed, you know, I started pulling together resumes of folks, and put together a group of business people, because that's what you want on the board to begin with. You don't want EMS folks, because they're going to be too one-sided. What you want is it's a pretty complicated matter, and this gentleman and I sat down and he and I talked about what kind of folks, quite frankly, should be on the board, what types of
Elected, that they can process that it can be
I think
formed.
there has to be an election that ESDs can merge.
They can merge, and really and truly, that's what we need. We need that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's, the thing with efficiency.
Yeah, I don't think there has to be an EMS in Stockdale to have services there. I mean,
Ms. Patricia Holman, do you wish to speak?
I just have a question. There's a fee for this service. Once you call 911, there is a fee that you pay personally for this service. Is that correct?
I don't know. Anyone know?
I mean, just because you pay your taxes doesn't mean this service is free if they come rescue you. Correct?
No, they will charge your insurance.
Okay. Then, has the public been notified what this fee is, the voting public?
Well,
Is a newspaper
about 80% of
publicized
them
that?
is nothing.
Pardon me?
About 80% of them is nothing.
imagine what the insurance company pays, is that right, Larry? Probably.
In other words, some of the indigent people get picked up and they never pay it.
Or what is the fee?
They bill
It's not fixed,
Medicare.
man. It's like asking how much your car costs.
Pardon me?
It's like asking how much your car costs.
It depends on
Depends on
what
car you're
the
buying
call
and
is,
when it's
what's all involved. It's not just a basic fee.
You know,
So it depends on what you call for. You know, if you call for a heart attack, or you call for a snake bite, or broken leg, it's different
Okay.
fees.
Well, I think it'd be a smarter voter public if everyone knew there was a fee, because we know people that thinks it's absolutely free, because
And
you
it
pay
is,
your
and we
taxes.
can- And we have to pick those people up too.
And
If
exactly.
they have insurance, then the insurance is charged. If they're under Medicare, Medicare's charged. If they have no insurance, we eat it.
Okay, but I'm talking about the overall vote for or against this proposal. There are people that think that if this is passed and you pay your taxes, raised taxes, then this service is free, and I think it'd be a smarter vote if everyone knew there was a fee. You know, not everyone knows that you have to pay for this in addition to your taxes. I think it should be in the newspaper.
There's a man holding the camera to make that.
I don't want to be on film.
Too late.
But I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that you're going to pay no matter what, whether you pay your taxes or not. That extra $3,000 for the ride to town is going to
If
your
everybody
bill.
did, if you were correct in what you're saying and everybody paid, we wouldn't be having a problem here tonight.
I understand that.
I
I
mean,
understand.
that goes what he was saying
But
about the
this
nation.
is coming up for a vote, and I think that people would want, like this man said, a better option for this service than just raising the taxes. And I think voters, some voters, don't understand that just because you pay this increase in tax that they're going to pick you up for free.
Thank you, Mayor.
Hard to believe, but there are people that truly believe that. And a lot of people. So I just think the public should be informed that you're going to pay in addition to the tax.
Ralph Gearhart?
I just want to add a little something. I live in the Chichester Volunteer Fire Department area, and we were one of the first. We were the first ESD to be. We didn't get formed. We voted it down. But I've been told repeatedly. I know the people in the fire department who run it, and basically it's $20 a year right now. You pay $20 a year. They told me repeatedly that if everybody in their area, in their service area, gave them $20 a year, they would have enough money. But not everybody does. I can't even imagine that, but that's what happened. Well, many of the people just don't bother to give them the $20. So they're always running short of money. So that's why, well, that's the reason why they tried to form an ESD. It was ESD 1. It's nothing. ESD. This is ESD 1. But the point is, if they could have gotten $20 from everybody, they said they would have had enough money to keep going. And so they tried to form an ESD and it failed. So I just thought I'd share that with you. there's a couple of things. One, I wanted to ask Mr. Aiken. We've got a...
Rice.
Right. Well, I'm in trouble with both of them. I'm in trouble with both of them. Mr. Rice,
He looks a lot like me.
there's been a letter received from the city council in Stockdale concerning the inclusion of their territory,
Correct.
and Nixon is gonna vote on it?
I still have to go in front of that city council.
Okay, do you know when that is?
No, I do not.
How soon does it need to be?
I was under the understanding that technically those don't get submitted after the public hearing. Am I wrong?
We did it before last time,
Yes,
so.
sir. I mean, I can try to get on the next agenda.
All right, and the other thing I had is, it was brought to my attention earlier today that there were apparently 10 tracts of land, I guess at the back of the Quail Run Golf Course or Las Palomas and Longhorn Road that are included in this petition, but that they were also included in the ESD number 1.
May I speak to that?
Yes.
It's 7 parcels, and it's along the Longhorn Road, Sweet and Littlehorn. If ESD 3 were going to be formed as a fire and/or fire and ambulance service, they could not do that. Those would have to be excluded. But since ESD 1 is fire only and ESD 3 would be medical only, they can overlap. Those people should know, and it's their responsibility to find out, not the ESD or the court's responsibility. It's their responsibility to find out that they will be paying their ESD 1 tax, and if this passes, they will also be paying an overlaying tax.
I don't know.
Double.
I know.
Right? Correct.
That hurts, right?
Where did you get your information from?
I'm sorry?
Where did you come up with that information? The meets and bounds?
They finally just finished our map off of our meets and bounds. They had just finished, matter of fact, I have a copy of it.
Because
Just
our
finished
meets and
the-
bounds border ESD 1.
Yeah, except
Now,
for
the
this
area that you're
7
referring to is included in Stockdale EMS's coverage area,
Yeah,
but excluded out of ESD number 3.
yeah. Wilson County Appraisal.
Excluded out of ESD number 1.
Wilson County Appraisal District is going by the field notes that they were given by whoever did y'all, and it's including those 7 parcels. It may be a mistake, but it's Wilson County Appraisal District. The field notes that they've got, which is the legal document, says it includes these.
Ms. Eagle wants to get y'all to sign up there for public comment, so we all,
Yeah. David.
No,
And I don't know if that's carved in stone. The appraisal district looked at both petitions, or both
Field notes.
field notes, and said that there was 7 tracks that overlap.
Right. No matter what anyone says, no matter what any map shows or anything, the meets and bounds is the legal defining document.
Yes.
Those 2 legal defining documents place these 7, back. These 7 parcels right here. This is a takeoff of our map. This is a takeoff of the proposed map. This is section here. Thing is, as Mr. Rice said, this falls in the Stockdale ESN. So probably what happened is when they laid the meets and bounds, they went ahead and laid them in here. Now, it's not illegal, there's nothing wrong with it, it won't stop anything.
Mr. Hanson, what-
Services.
what does the state set as maximum amount that you can get a fire emergency?
Any ESD can get up to 10 cents per 100 unless there is a vote by the citizenry in the district to raise it higher. Obviously, that's never happened.
Okay, if it's an ESD with fire and EMS, is it raised? It's 10
Doesn't
cents.
make 10 cents either way.
If they're combined, when they're set up.
No, if it's fire only, it's 10 cents. If it's EMS only, it's 10 cents. If it's EMS and fire, it's 10 cents.
Russell, you think there's any case law that would cover that since that
I
would...
spoke to, who's the attorney from Austin?
Can't.
I spoke with Mr. Campbell. He showed me some other counties that have had overlapping ESDs, and I went to their websites. I know they exist. I assume there's nothing 100%. I assume somebody would have sued if they researched it and thought that they could put a stop to being taxed by two different ESDs.
It would seem if they set the limit at 10, and you had 2 10s coming in on it, that they.
But if they're doing different things.
In actuality, you're talking about combining ESDs, that's one of the 3 ways to combine an ESD is overlay. And if you overlay, you have this tax rate plus this tax rate. It's not combined, it's one tax rate, unless after they combine, they choose to lower the rates back to one, but it's the choice of the citizenry, which they're represented by the board.
Because I think this is a special district, and I mean, you could form a mosquito control district and put it on top of the ESDs, and they could get 10 cents too if they were doing something different.
You have, the county has a tax, and as y'all were mentioning earlier, taxes. The county has a tax, the hospital district has a tax that's laid over that, school district has a tax that's laid over that, Sarah, I think it is, has a tax that's laid over that. Library district, hospital district, whatever district keeps laying those taxes on. The amount of county tax that you pay is much less than what you see on your statement if you look at each of the line items that are on there. But as, back to this subject here, yes, they can overlay. There is a possibility of having 20 cents per 100 tax.
But if I was an attorney for someone like that, I'd say if the law says it's 10 cents and you overlay 2 of them and it's 20 cents.
But the law allows that, the 20 cents.
Yes.
That's, I know it's been done elsewhere. I did look a few months ago when this came up, and I didn't see, I haven't researched that today. It may have changed, but I didn't see where there's been any litigation about it. And again, this was in places like Comal County, New Braunfels.
That's not a black and white.
Well, I talked with an ESD attorney at the conference in College Station back in February. He made a presentation on it, and I asked him about setting them up, and he said that you can do it either all like they did in ESD number 2. You can do it the way that they did it in ESD number 1, and then you can come back and do overlay an EMS, and that's how they recommended that you do it, because frankly, if you split the funding, then you don't have enough money to fund either one of them.
But the overlay would be from one same district, correct? Or would it be from a different district?
So we get a tax, these people.
Or it could be
these
countywide. You know, the county could come in and do an EMS, and like we thought we could do, and it would overlay his right there. It would overlay everywhere except for ESD number 2, because they're covered by both ends of it. And that's what I was told by the attorney, because I asked you specifically, because I knew that we were going to face this issue at some point, and I wanted to be halfway knowledgeable.
And Mr. Rice, you all had drawn your petition up thinking that this wasn't an issue.
It wasn't an issue last year, and actually, we had this conversation, I believe it was Leanne, she was asking me, because the plan was, or how we did our meets and bounds was obviously by our ESNs, by our coverage unit. And so the question last year is how come we didn't include this particular area that we're talking about now in the CSD, and I thought we did.
I haven't seen the meets and bounds, and I'm not saying that I would understand it if I did. I just wanted to point out that y'all didn't intend for this to be an issue.
No, it didn't intend for this to be an issue, no. But, I mean, are we 100% sure? I mean, it's...
I've gone back, after they said it, I had True Automation, which is the taxing entity, the entity that sets the lands, and then I went back against the tax records. The property just passed on either side, but it's not included in yours, and is ESD one, each of these pieces of property. And it appears to me that when the meets and bounds for ESD 1 was set up,